Am I the asshole for thinking my boyfriend of over a year is cheating on me with my older sister? I, 20F, and my boyfriend, 29M, I will call him Ryan, have been together for about a year and a half now, and up until recently, I always trusted him, maybe blindly and naively looking back on it. I started losing that trust a few months ago when an ex of his, I will call her Anna, found me on Instagram and DM'd me what was basically the dreaded "Hey girly" text. I knew about Anna because they were pretty serious in college, and he and his mom had both told me stories about her. I was told by Ryan that they ended their long-term relationship because they wanted different things with life. He said she wanted to settle down and he wasn't ready. I believed him, but Anna told me that they actually broke up because after 4 years together and talking about marriage, she found out he had been cheating on her almost the whole time with no remorse. Apparently, they had rekindled sometime about a year before, and Anna thought he had grown as a person, so they were considering meeting up and possibly getting back together until he randomly ghosted her. She found my account through his and pieced together by our photos that I was the reason he ghosted her. She provided multiple screenshots, and the timestamps are all during the same time frame me and him started talking. He was talking to us both and entertaining us both up until the same day he asked me to make things official. I don't know why she didn't tell me sooner or if she had just found out, but I never asked even now because I don't know if I even want to know more. I thanked her, and I did confront him with this almost immediately. He was honest, but I think that was only because I had the proof right there in front of us. He admitted that he was talking to both of us and another girl because he was single then and he had the right to. When I pointed out that I told him I wasn't talking to anyone else very early on in our talking stage, and he could have told me then, or better yet, stopped talking to these other women if he thought we were so serious, he got very defensive and said that I was making this out to be something it wasn't, and said I was acting like he was a cheater. The fact that he brought up cheating first is telling to me now, even though I didn't think of it in the moment. I know he did not technically cheat on me, but it still feels disrespectful that he not only did it, but didn't even think to tell me throughout our whole relationship. This opened my eyes to some massive red flags that just seemed to keep popping up, and eventually they were all I could see about him. I still love him, despite how stupid that sounds. Even now, as I am typing this, I still hope I am so very wrong, even though I do not think I am, but I need other opinions because I feel crazy. My sister, 25F, who I will call Jane, just went through a nasty breakup 3 months ago and had to move back home with my parents to get back on her feet. Instead of hiring a moving company and wasting that money, she just asked our brother, 23M, to use his truck and have the family help her move. Of course we did, but I felt like we needed some more help, so I stupidly invited Ryan to come and help us. Ryan had never met my sister before then, but as soon as they started talking, I felt like a third wheel. They have more in common, which I should have expected with them being closer in age than me and him. I ignored it at first and tried to convince myself I was glad they were getting along, but the way he looked at her when we left later that night, and the way she said goodbye like there was more behind the words, filled me with jealousy. It wasn't even a full week later that it started getting weirder. Ryan made a comment in the middle of a date night about how mature my sister is, which, if you talk to this woman at all, anyone can tell she is the opposite of mature, so I know this was some type of dig because I have always been self-conscious of our age gap. I have even said the words, "I wish I was more mature," to him before. My mood was ruined after this because it made no sense to me why he was even thinking of Jane, and I was already upset and on edge, so I tried to end our night early, but he was following me around his apartment and yelling at me that I was acting insecure and didn't trust him. I let it slip that I hadn't trusted him for a while, and he asked me what the point of our relationship was if I cannot trust him, and after some back and forth of me saying he needed to work to regain my trust, and him saying I was blaming him for stuff he can't change, I ended up leaving because he would not stop, and I wanted to sleep. I went to my parents' place because they were closer, and it was late already, so I crashed there. My mom, of course, was curious why, and I broke down and explained everything to her, minus the Jane details, because I knew she would be listening, and she was. I was a crying mess by the end, but my mom said she thought I was being paranoid and jumping to conclusions based on his past. I called Ryan, and to his credit, he did pick up quickly. I told him I was sorry, but now I feel like a pushover because looking back on it, I was not the one who needed to apologize. Jane even came down and comforted me herself, which is rare because she usually only cares for herself. I should have seen this as a sign, but I was too caught up on thinking my sister finally cared about me. For a while, everything was okay after. When I got back to his place, he apologized for yelling and even asked me to move in with him. I hadn't decided yet, but I was stupidly considering saying yes. It felt too good to be true, and I was tired of feeling crazy, so I just started trying to accept that I may have paranoia issues when everything was basically confirmed for me. In the middle of the night, like a month and a half after Jane moved back, almost 4 in the morning, Ryan was on the phone with Jane. I caught him in his living room, basically whispering into his phone. I was already suspicious and angry before I even knew who it was, and asked him, instead of doing the smart thing and listening in to whatever they were talking about, because I still do not know what their late-night conversations were about. He didn't even try to hide it. He admitted that he was talking to both of us and another girl because he was single then and he had the right to. When I pointed out that I told him I wasn't talking to anyone else very early on in our talking stage, and he could have told me then, or better yet, stopped talking to these other women if he thought we were so serious, he got very defensive and said that I was making this out to be something it wasn't, and said I was acting like he was a cheater. The fact that he brought up cheating first is telling to me now, even though I didn't think of it in the moment. I know he did not technically cheat on me, but it still feels disrespectful that he not only did it, but didn't even think to tell me throughout our whole relationship. This opened my eyes to some massive red flags that just seemed to keep popping up, and eventually they were all I could see about him. I still love him despite how stupid that sounds. Even now, as I am typing this, I still hope I am so very wrong, even though I do not think I am, but I need other opinions because I feel crazy. Edit number 1, 4 days later. Anyway, my brother said I should update this now, so here it is. I decided to cut ties with Ryan, and I have gone no contact with my sister and my mom. The day after I posted my initial ATIH, I took some of you guys' advice and I broke it off with Ryan through a careful text that said more or less, I do not believe nothing happened between you and my sister, and I won't stay in a relationship with someone who would break my trust like that. Even if nothing happened, you lied to me about seeing her, went behind my back to be with her, and hurt me all for someone I barely know, for someone I am supposed to be able to trust. I do not want you to text me or call me, and I do not want to see you again. My brother will be coming to get anything of mine you still have when he can. I wanted the text to be direct and fast so he couldn't try to twist my words, but he still responded saying he only wanted to be with me, was sorry he hurt me, and that he didn't mean to break my trust, so I silenced his contact and put my phone on D&D for now, but I know he has still been texting. I just refuse to even look at them. Some comments said not to block him fully just in case he goes too far and I need documentation, so I am following that advice until I think I'm in the clear. My sister showed up at my apartment unannounced after this, and I am positive he told her about my text. I talked to her outside because I wanted to see if I could get more information out of her, but didn't want her in my apartment. So while she was begging me to forgive me, I said I would if she told me the truth. And I was pretty much right. She confessed that they both talked about being attracted to each other and about what they would do if I wasn't in the picture on those late-night phone calls. The farthest it went was talking about getting a hotel room for a weekend to act on this, which she claims Ryan shot down, but I do not believe that. She said nothing physical ever happened, and they went on those friend dates to live out a fantasy they were never going to act on, which I think is bullshit. She said she was the one pushing for them to go further, but he never crossed the line, but I do not care. They were leading up to cheating physically if they haven't already, and in my eyes already did cheat. They were basically sexting or having phone sex or whatever the F while I was asleep in the next room, and her trying to justify that makes me feel sick. I told her I was likely not going to talk to her ever again, and she went from begging to being angry and calling me a liar almost immediately, so I just went back up to my apartment to avoid doing something I would regret. I also finally listened to my mom's voicemails, and they were in fact defending Jane. I called her, told her what Jane admitted, and asked if she knew. She said she didn't know and thought they really were just friends, but she still thinks I'm being too hard on Jane. She thinks I should be more angry at Ryan since he made the commitment to me, and Jane will be my sister for life. I believe her that she didn't know about everything, but I can't even find the words to describe how I feel about her expecting me to just forgive Jane. And I do not believe she told the full story, but I have no idea how I would find out while also avoiding them like the plague like I want to. I have not spoken to either of them since, but they have pretty much brought the whole family into this to try and convince me to reconsider. I could tell they were just repeating what Mom or Jane told them, but I still made it clear to them that I would also be going no contact with anyone who tried to convince me to talk to them before I am ready, and my brother helped back me up on this. My brother has been very supportive in all of this and is probably all that's going to get me through this. He plans to go to Ryan's tomorrow to get some stuff I left there, and he is actually going to be staying with me because I do have a spare key to my apartment at Ryan's place. We are also both ready to call the cops if he tries to do so much as keep one thing from me. My brother was ready to fight him, but I told him not to, because I don't want him getting in trouble for my relationship problems, especially since I blame myself for not noticing this sooner. Edit number 2, 2 days later. My brother was able to get my things from Ryan pretty easily, but he did try to keep my key by saying he didn't know where it was. It has been in the same place since I started staying over, but he got it from him after some threats. That confirmed to me that I was right to be scared he would do something if I was alone. He tried to get my brother to pass on another apology that was basically the exact same bullshit he has said every other time, so nothing new there, and me and my brother finally had a good laugh at how dense he is, and we really needed that. My mom and Jane are both blocked. Ryan is not yet because I am still worried I may need to go to the cops with the texts he has sent after I told him to stay away. I explained this in a comment on my first update, but I want to say it here too. The extended family that tried to get me to talk to Jane were lied to. Jane told them I was assuming and wouldn't let her explain herself, but me and my brother made sure they knew the truth, and now everything has blown